So, yeah.
Would you like a drink?
Oh, we're good. It's not too much. Water, we're good. Just don't start on this end. Start on that end.
I was gonna say the
No, no, no.
opposite.
I meant to go. I get to start.
I know.
You lose. I get to win on something.
I was just wondering if it was like, am I wrong?
What?
Hi, sir. Leaning left? That's an interesting way of putting it. Yeah, right? Yes. Yeah, no. Yeah. Hi, Leilani. How are you, darling?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Or are you just coming to play? Are we starting anytime soon? Or?
Yeah, we're playing about 2 minutes.
Oh, brilliant. Cool. What you doing?
We're past, yeah, we're 3 minutes. 3 minutes
Nice.
past.
Are you
when
gonna
we should
join?
start.
Are you gonna join the panel? No, I was just kidding. I was just saying, like, are you joining us? Like here? Are you gonna be here? Cool.
Sure.
Set.
What are we doing?
Okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Small intro.
Okay. I'll just follow the lead with you guys.
That's why I'm going that way.
Where you from?
I love
Undergrad?
So for the next 45 or
Area of
so
interest?
Just pass that card down when you're done.
Student organization.
you have about clergy. One of the things I do differently than
It's my mind.
what
Let's go.
a lot of
Just pass your card down.
Okay, let's get started. One of the things that I do differently than a lot of my colleagues is give you alone time with our current students. So this is how this is going to work today.
Alone time.
For about the first 15 minutes until 3 o'clock, I will moderate the discussion and make myself available as well as Dean Dickey available to answer any questions that either our students can't answer or we'd just like to chime in from our perspective as administrators. Then when 3 o'clock rolls around, everybody who is an administrator or an employee of the law school leaves. We turn off the live stream video and we let you guys ask any questions you want of them. I think that's just fair so that you don't feel we're kind of overseeing what the discussion is and we don't ask them what you guys have asked them, okay? Seem like a deal? Okay. So, but the deal is you have to ask questions. So I'm hoping I don't have to do anything but start this. But I can give them softball questions if you're not quite ready. But to start this, we're going to ask Helena Jordan, who came to us after a whirlwind trip from San Francisco to Salt Lake City to Tucson before she made her decision. And I really want to thank her both for coming to school here, but also serving on the panel. They're all going to introduce themselves, and then we'll get started. But we'll start with Helena.
Yeah, so my name is Helena. I came here from San Francisco. I did my undergrad at San Francisco State University. I majored in political science. I did a minor in Spanish. I've been involved with the Pro Bono initiative here about as much as I can as a first year. And I'm part of the Student Animal Legal Defense Fund. And did I get everything?
I think that was it.
Okay, yeah, that's who I am.
Okay, so my name is Joseph Rupp, and I'm a member of one of the Old Guys Club. This is a second career for me. I retired from 27 years in the Marines. I did an undergraduate many years ago in Spanish. Along the way, I did a master's in international relations. And I had kids in Utah going to college, so decided to come out here to settle down. And here I am. The areas of interest that I've had have been across the board. I've done some immigration law. I'm doing some criminal law now. I had kind of a gap in my business background, so I'm doing business organizations and international business transactions to still kind of feel what I want to do for the next 20 years. In terms of student involvement, I'm president of the Student Veterans Association. I'm a member of the leadership with Nubia here of the Social Justice Student Initiative. I've participated in civil clinics that the school puts on. I'm the student clinical director for the Veterans Legal Clinic that we do over at the VA once a month. I've also been able to, through the school, work on some personal initiatives with having a bill passed in the Utah legislature here this month. I think that's kind of it.
So my name is Nubia Pena, and I'm currently a 3L, so I will be graduating this semester, and I can tell you that that's something you need to look forward to, right, even though you're just barely starting your journey. I'm tremendously excited that I have had several opportunities. I had a 10-year career with law enforcement before coming to law school. So I worked with domestic violence, sexual assault, victims of violent crimes. And so it just seemed like a natural transition to attend law school. And since I've been here, I've really been actively involved in the Pro Bono Initiative. I'm currently their fellow. And what that means is that you not only get a stipend, but in addition to that, you get 30% off your tuition. So does that sound nice to you? Yes, it does, right? Because that's 30% that you don't have to pay back. And so other than that, I've also been a research fellow. I've also been sent to London as one of the individuals that participated in the Human Rights Commission on the Human Rights Consortium at Oxford University. So the SG Quinney has really been incredibly generous to me in the way that I've been able to involve myself in doing outreach for the community. So hopefully you guys have some questions about what can you do to change the way you do legal practice in social justice. And then I'm also the president and founder of the Social Justice Student Initiative, and our big push has been on bringing awareness to human trafficking in Utah, and we hosted our second annual symposium this year, which we had close to the whole entire moot court room filled with community partners, law students, professors, and academics. So it was great.
I feel like I've done barely anything compared to these other people. But my name is McKay Corbett. I'm a 1L here. I did my undergrad at Brigham Young University in International Relations. And I came here right after graduating last year. This year I've been involved with the Minority Law Caucus, mostly. I've been a 1L representative in that student organization. And we've done things like, we've done panels for, we just did a panel for, that was concentrated on minority voting and how we can get more minorities to go out and vote. And we've done different outreaches and stuff like that for the minority people. And then I've also been involved in the Pro Bono Initiative just recently. So.
Thanks. Okay.
Hi, my name's Paxton Lewis, and I'm a 2L. I'm originally from South Bend, Indiana, and did my undergrad at Butler University. I majored in philosophy and chemistry and have minors in business law and political science. Being a chemistry nerd, I am very interested in intellectual property, and I'm also interested in appellate practice and admin law. This school's been really great to me. I've gotten to get a little bit of everything, and then next year I'm really excited because I'll actually get to work with just one individual professor focusing on not only admin law but also technology as well. I've done a lot with the Pro Bono Initiative as well, volunteering with our Rainbow Law Clinic and our Street Law Clinic, and that is the best way to get exposure to legal practice, which has been really great. I'm president of our Outlaws Club here and vice president of SIPLA, which is our Student Intellectual Property Association, and vice president of our Federal Bar Association. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. But I'm going to ask you to do a show of hands so we can give some perspective on the questions that may be coming your way. How many of you came to law school with a spouse or a partner? How many of you came to law school with kids or dogs or cats? Okay. How many of you left a career to come to law school? How many of you came right out of undergrad? How many of you came from a place outside of Utah? Okay. Is that enough perspectives? Okay. What questions do you guys have? Oh, we are doing this live stream thing again, so we would like you to have a mic on this one. Sorry.
This is my job.
Well, the first one's kind of the obvious one of what was the biggest shock or adjustment that had to be made when you first came into law school?
I'm going to ask Helena because she had probably a cultural shock that she was concerned with coming from San Francisco on such short notice. And then I call people by the names on their applications because that's how I get to know you. So McKay, I always want to call Pearson. McKay, as a 1L, I want to hear your perspective. And then the rest of you can chime in, but I definitely want the 1Ls to chime in on this. But you first, Helena.
Okay. So yeah, culturally, it was definitely a big shock coming here. I think that though the biggest like lifestyle change I had to get used to was like this. I mean, it's as much of your life as you want to make it, but it really is such a big part of your life. And coming from being able to not dedicate my entire life to school and undergrad, that was the biggest change for me, is really like you dedicate so much to your education. So, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's kind of similar for me, not so much the cultural aspect because I grew up in Utah, so I know what Utah's like, but just the time that because I mean, my whole undergrad I worked, I had a job my whole undergrad, I graduated without any debt, and then I come here, all of a sudden, $50,000 in debt, so that was a big shock. And then just the school part of it, the type of education, like the type of homework that you're doing, was a bit different. Like I had to do a lot of reading and writing in my undergrad, but it's completely different in law school. The legal writing is pretty different, and so is reading. So you got to get used to that. So that was a big shock.
To follow up, I'm going to ask Paxton to say, what's the second year change in that?
In the
From
shock.
first year shock coming in, first year, and then you go into the second year.
So I actually thought that 1L year was going to be a bigger shock for me, but I also like overdid everything in undergrad. So coming here and telling myself that law school was my job actually made it really easy for me to adjust, because it was just that I came here, I worked from 7 to 5, I went home and had dinner, and I would study a little bit more before bed. Second year, you realize you get to do all the things that you're really excited about, and you don't always realize how much time everything is going to take. So the biggest shock for me going from first year to second year of law school was definitely realizing how to balance my time, because school is obviously really important, and then there's pro bono stuff, and there's directed research, and there's judicial internships and work, and before you know it, you don't realize that you forgot to sleep. So it's definitely, I think, the biggest shock was finding time, and also like realizing that it's okay to tell someone no, or it's okay to go to a professor and ask them how to handle and how to balance things. And it was really nice to have a few professors who understood like where I was at and how I needed help balancing my time, and they were able to help me decide like what I needed to cut back and what not.
Let's hear from the others too.
I would actually just encourage you to really talk to us one-on-one. I think we're all going to come from a different perspective as to how time management needs to look, especially if you're married, right? Many of you are going to hear that the law is a jealous mistress, and it really is, in fact, something that's going to take so much of your time, and balance is critical for your own personal well-being, for your own mental health. You really need to make sure that you are keeping time for things that matter to you, whether it's working out, whether it's running, whether it's visiting with family, but then also keeping to your schedule of going right back into studying, because your grades do matter. And so that you just need to come into it recognizing that this is a full-time job. And that's because you're putting in the time now to get the rewards and benefits later, but also learn to enjoy this experience, because after 3 years of being here, you're gonna sometimes wish that you could have taken the time to really invest yourselves in some of the spaces that were happening while you're just like, I don't have time. You should make time.
I'm going to ask Joseph to focus on coming in married and the effect that coming into grad school had. But Nubia was one of the most community engaged people I've had come through both the program in law school, but before law school. Did you change gears or separate yourself from your community engagement before your first year, or did you try to plow through it all and keep it all going?
I actually, through the first semester, tried to separate myself, but it was such a fundamental part of who I was and how happy I was that my second semester in my first year, I went right back to it, because I noticed, one, that I engaged with law school better because I felt that there was more balance. When it was literally nothing but law school, it was just a bit too off balance for me. So if you guys are connected to your communities, if there's things that you do, whether it's church involvement, community involvement, volunteering, I would really encourage you to try to find a way to keep parts of that in your life so that you remember why you came to law school to begin with. Because sometimes head buried in books, reading things about torts and constitutional law that are so disconnected from the things you see every day that matter to you, you sometimes forget why you decided to come on this journey to begin with.
Colonel?
So I actually had newfound freedom. I got to go home and sleep in my own bed every night, which was really nice, and see my wife pretty much every day. But I think what Nubi is saying with coming with a family is key. I came back here because I had a kid in college at BYU, a kid in college up at Weber. My youngest is going to Weber now. He'll go to Utah State in the fall. And I made a decision coming in that I wasn't going to let law school be something that at the stage that my kids were at derail my relationship with them or my wife. We've been happily married for 25 years and we've been through a lot. But staying true to yourself in terms of where your priorities are and maintaining those relationships was very important to me. So my wife and I scheduled dates. I told my kid, I will go to all of your cycling races. Now, does that mean that I'm not in the top 10% of my class because I should have probably studied and made an outline instead of going to St. George to a cycling race? Maybe, but for me, that's part of the balance that I have is I've scheduled those events with my family to make sure that I still did that in addition to all the things that I needed and wanted to do with school. And first year, you're set in your classes. My second year, it's been wonderful. Like I said, newfound freedom. I mean, I've been able to really take the courses and things that have interested me. And having that freedom was important in terms of the academics. And I just balanced that with making sure I still did the things with my family that I wanted to do. I didn't not go do those things because I was so focused on where I needed to be with school.
I promised you that I would make everybody who's paid by the law school leave at 3 o'clock. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask that Lance cut off the stream for now. You guys,
Sam.
That's Sam.
Sam.
what? Sam.
Sam.
No, Lance is in the
Oh,
video.
in the back. We're just trying to look out for Sam.
Sam.
Yeah.
Sam's just going to cut out.
He's a key guy. We don't want him to feel bad ever.
We love
Yeah,
Sam.
I love Sam too, but Lance is the one controlling the video. And I'll come back at about 3:28ish, so that we have a couple of minutes to wrap things up. And if you have any questions specific to me, but with that.